Well, here we are today, and it is June 8th, 2018. Top story in the news today happens to be that Anthony Bourdain has apparently committed suicide. Now, whenever these types of situations occur within our society, a lot of people on social media, a lot of people within media themselves show great despair in the fact that an icon like that would take their lives, that they would end their life in this kind of, tragedy. But I'm here to tell you today that this is something that is going to become more and more and more common as we start to see males in central figure roles within our society and within our community. As we see these males start to take toll, and to look at the ledger of their life, is the best way to look at it. As they look back and they see the culmination of their lives and they realize that their lives have been lived in a way that they didn't want it to be lived. What I mean by this is, as you look at Anthony Bourdain, I see a lot of characteristics of an individual who was never initiated into manhood, who struggled with his own masculine identity, who tried to figure out different means and different methods in order to escape his reality, and was being pulled in so many different ways. People are going to sit here and they're going to think, what the hell is this guy talking about right now? But the fact of the matter is, Anthony Bourdain is a type of individual who ran around the world trying to find himself. He thrusted himself into writing and into media and into reality shows, crossing the globe in order to possibly try to find what makes him happy. And he never once found the answer. And I submit to you that his answer was that he never truly found himself, and he never truly became comfortable with the fact that he was a man who had masculine wants, masculine needs, masculine desires, and a masculine form of love that was never going to be satiated by what our society tells men today that they need to find in love, that they need to find in a partner. And that, of course, is the fact that we are constantly told as men that in order to be fulfilled, we have to find the perfect woman, fall in love, and that's going to be the end of the story where we live happily ever after. The reason why I say this is because as you look at his life, you can see that he married a nice, young, beautiful vixen of a woman. I believe her name is Octavia. And what little research I've really done into her, I didn't need to do too much because in my ability to just look at her and assess who she is as an individual, I could see that she was a very strong and independent, and I would even say pretty carefree individual. She seemed very masculine in her traits. She does jiu-jitsu. She's very much into jiu-jitsu. She's very much into the spotlight of it as well. But she also seems like she lives a life of, I don't want to say recklessness, but I would say a bit of chaos. And I think that what ended up happening with Anthony here is that he thought that she was going to be the love of his life and it was going to complete something within. And I think he thought that in order for him to keep her, in order for him to be happy with her, he was going to have to submit and become this nice boy, right? The nice boy that we're all raised to believe that we need to be. That we need to not establish boundaries, that we need to never criticize, that we need to give 100% affection, admiration, and never criticize our significant other. I think he found that in her, and he thought that's exactly how he needed to be in order to be happy for the rest of his life. And I would even say that no matter what he tried or no matter what he did up to this point, that never happened. He never found that happiness. Maybe a fleeting form of happiness where he ended up for a day or two or a week or so, he found some form of elation. but he never once found the happiness he was looking for. And I would also say that part of it is because he also never learned that happiness comes from within. That his happiness was something that he had to cultivate in his own happiness of himself. Everything external is just a reflection of what's really truly going on within. And that he just needed to be okay with himself and be happy. And that way there he would continue to find happiness outside, right? So if you find and cultivate happiness within, if you create systems and ways and methods to come back to yourself and realize that you are enough and realize that you are the key to your own happiness, then I think things would have formed a little bit differently, and he would have been able to be okay with being a man. He would have been okay with finding intimacy with other men, with other people, other than just this trophy wife, which is what I would consider her to be. The other thing I want to point out is this, and I've seen this quote. It was a meme that was posted from a friend on Facebook today, and it's Anthony Bourdain talking about his life and what he kind of used as a ethos of sorts. And I'll read the quote to you from him. Here it is. I understand there's a guy inside me who wants to lay in bed, smoke weed all day, and watch cartoons and old movies. My whole life is a series of strategies to avoid and outwit that guy. Right there he exclaims and he tells people, I have this character inside me, which I would consider the boy, the inner child, the child that had never been killed and transformed into a man. That boy was the person he was running away from. He never once integrated or stood up to or removed that power as being the motivator that drives who he is. And what I say to that is his technique and tactic for it was to outwit and outrun. Now, I'm not going to try to get too much into my own personal life here, but what I will say is what I call this whole thing is the monkey, right? I've had these images before when I was going through my own personal struggles of hitting rock bottom. And it was always this method beforehand of trying to outrun the monkey. So never resting, never allowing myself to get caught by depression and anxiety. I thought that I could outrun it forever. I could just run myself into the ground. And that's exactly what Anthony Bourdain says he's doing here. And the fact of the matter is that monkey is going to catch you. He's going to catch you. He's going to latch onto your back. He's going to sink his teeth directly into your neck. And he's going to take you down. And he's going to do what he will with you because you are not prepared to be able to handle him. My solution is this, and this is going out to all men out there, because I believe that what has gone on within our society over the last few generations is that we have decided to become weak. We have decided to let our inner child become the ruler, the tyrant of who we are. And we have decided that we as men no longer want to fight to be men, but instead we want to cultivate a society of children. We don't want to do the work. But what it comes down to is, as men, we have to turn around and we have to face that monkey and we have to scream as loud as we can that we are in charge. You have to face that monkey. You have to face that inner child. And you have to let them know that you are the boss. You cannot kill the monkey. You cannot defeat the monkey. But what you have to do is you have to fight it, you have to submit it, and you have to teach it that you are in control. And yes, that monkey may come back out every once in a while in times of need and desperation, but he is no longer going to be the boss of you. He is no longer going to be the one that you run from and try to avoid using drugs, using different forms of disassociation, whether it be sex or alcohol, whether it be working too much, whether it be gambling, whatever people do within our society today to try to outrun that monkey and get away from it. We have to turn around as men and we have to say no more. We have to decide to fight. We have to decide to tackle our inner demons and not push them down, but to say, I'm going to work on them I'm going to integrate them into my life. I'm going to make them a form of strength where I can transform that energy into my greatest strengths rather than looking at them as weaknesses. And then from there, we can become a fully integrated and strong man, one that is a leader in his own right, and that can lead other men, and I would even surmise to say, we can even lead women and children into finding out a beauty within them, a health within them, a vitality, an energy within them, so as we can create a society of healthy, balanced, and happy people, rather than the society that we are facing today. As we see more and more celebrities taking their lives, as we see more and more of our friends, and as we see a large percentage of men in our society taking their lives, we have to sit back and we have to understand that this is the cause. And the only solution is for each and every individual to wake up daily and say, I am no longer going to run, but instead I'm going to turn around, I'm going to stand my ground, and I'm going to do what it takes to become a better human being. And in doing so, we will have a far greater society.